This video today I'm going to be comparing the Bad Boys franchise to Speed as well as Speed 2 Cruise Control. When it comes to Bad Boys, you have 4 movies at this point. I actually watched Bad Boys Ride or Die in theaters earlier on this year, but as of right now I haven't actually watched any of the other Bad Boys movies. When it comes to the highest score for each franchise, with Speed, that original movie has a 95%, which obviously is fantastic. With Bad Boys, the highest score is a 76% for Bad Boys for Life, the third movie. Speed wins this round. But then when you look at the lowest score, ooh man, with Speed, wow, was there a huge drop off with Speed 2 Cruise Control. It literally only has a 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yikes. With Bad Boys 2, one of those early Michael Bay Bad Boys movies, only has a 24%. Bad Boys wins this round. Then when you look at average score, Bad Boys has an average of 52, whereas a Speed has an average of 49. Bad Boys wins, but only just by a little bit. And then when you look at gap between lowest and highest score, wow, is there ever a big gap with Speed? A gap of 91%. Ooh, wow. With Bad Boys, you have a gap of 52. Bad Boys wins this round. So Bad Boys is going to win this debate regardless of my personal opinion. In this case, it's actually pretty easy for you to decide. I would say that Bad Boys is the franchise I prefer. First of all, I actually have seen one of these movies, whereas I haven't seen any of the Speed films. But beyond that, I think the biggest difference is that with Bad Boys, okay, those early Michael Bay movies aren't as well received, sure, but they're not complete disasters. And the last 2 movies have actually been received really well. So right now, and the franchise is in a good place. Sure, with Bad Boys Ride or Die, it only has a 65%, which isn't fantastic, but it's definitely good, and it seemed to me like the movie did solid numbers at the box office, about how much you'd expect for a Bad Boys movie. With Speed, you have that original film that's very highly regarded, but then Speed 2 Cruise Control is famous for being a really bad sequel, and this, like Jaws or Taken or some other examples, I'm not thinking of them right now, but like some of these other franchises, with Speed, you run into that problem of the premise of the original film just doesn't lend itself to a sequel, to a follow-up, a continuation. It's again one of these cases where it feels like Hollywood wanted to make another movie because the first one was so well received, so they didn't take the time to ask themselves, wait a minute, is this a concept that actually lends itself to more sequels? Is this a concept that lends itself to more than one movie? Or does it work really well for a single, standalone movie? In the case of Speed 2, you take a character that wasn't like one of the big heroes. She was just on the bus in the first film, that's it. And then suddenly she's the hero now. And also, we have to contrive a reason for why the same exact thing is happening all over again, and it just strains way too much credibility, or you're like, seriously, what is going on? This is so forced. I think it's the same problem that the Hangover franchise ran into, where the first movie was so well received, we get Hangover 2, and you just realize, wait a minute, this is a concept that doesn't lend itself to sequels, to a continuation. Because as soon as you do sequels, you have to think of what's the reason why the same exact thing happens all over again. So with the sequels, it feels like the filmmaker's trying to squeeze more out of this premise than what's really there. Trying to stretch everything out way too much, and so it strains all credibility that these guys get hung over and can't remember the previous night again. Same thing really with the Taken movies, where you get the Taken sequels, and again, it feels like we're trying to fabricate a franchise because the first film was so successful. I mean, that's clearly the case with Speed, so This one, no contest at all. Bad Boys easily wins. You have actors that are really fun to watch in Bad Boys, Will Smith especially. But also with the last two movies, it seems to me like they actually found an interesting story, an interesting plot. That's something I definitely found watching Bad Boys Ride or Die. Like, yeah, this is a good plot, and I like that they gave such a great standout moment for Richie. That's so satisfying. You're like, yes, yes, we're seeing this guy be a hero. The movie succeeds in having both entertaining moments, but also not shying away from the fact that, hey, our characters are getting older, especially with Will Smith's partner. Like, he now actually has something to lose. Not that the movie goes the Disney route of just deconstructing heroes, making the old sad, miserable. No, 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 that's not the case at all. No, our main two heroes, they are still absolutely cool. They still get in on the action. They're not miserable old failures. But at the same time, the movie does bring up the fact that, hey, they're getting older. And so things change as you age. I really enjoyed that. So that, yeah, in this case, I definitely would say the Bad Boys franchise for sure. I think that right there is a premise that actually does lend itself to more sequels. Like of Inside Out, for example, where you go, yeah, I want to spend more time in this world. I want to spend more time with these characters. You can easily tell more stories, and it makes a lot of sense. With the Predator franchise, I think that's a premise that really lends itself well to sequels. I really hope that they learn lessons from Prey, the filmmakers do, and realize how you can do more Predator movies in a way that makes sense. Yeah, go to different time periods, show us different characters. That's a great way to deliver the Predator experience without feeling like you're just rehashing what came before. And as much as I really enjoy Predators, and I think it's been overly criticized for a long time, it's certainly a safe sequel that feels a bit derivative of the first film, a bit like a rehash. There's things it does that are different, but it certainly has a similar vibe to it. If our characters once again in a jungle, sometimes Hollywood doesn't know how to look beyond the money and ask themselves, okay, we can make another movie, but should we make another movie? That'll be it for this video today.